Greetings, welcome to the Nexus. There's a tournament coming up on my Discord, and I wanted to have something to quickly onboard new players. This is for players who are already familiar with battle style card games, but because I'll be using some shorthand for some of the mechanics, I'd recommend that if you're brand new to this game, you just watch the longer, more detailed video linked in the description. You can even read the PDF of the rules over on getscatterednexus.com. There'll be a link to that in the description as well. So let's get into it. For our tournament, we'll be using Tabletop Simulator, so I'll just be using that for this demonstration. If you don't have TTS, you can get it online from Steam for $20. Anyway, Scattered Nexus is a 2-player battle style card game based on a growing list of indie comics. To play, each player selects 3 comic factions and shuffles them together to make their deck. When you open up the TTS mod, there will be 24 comic factions laid out in front of you. All of them will be available when we do our tournament, but they are grouped the same way they are in the box of the physical game. Just in case you find something you love, it'll be a good way to track down the physical copy. So these factions, each faction represents a real-world indie comic. It has a primary and secondary genre. In this game, there are 10 genres total, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, and each comic faction is a representative of 2 of those genres overlapping. You can make your deck out of any 3 factions. However, I do recommend you find a little bit of overlap so that you can have some synergies among your factions. After you pick your 3 comic factions, each player will take out their 3 title cards. These just explain a little bit about the comic and explain the keywords that the comic has. You'll also take out the locations and stack them face up in your location zone. The top location becoming your active location. Just this is where you are now, and the ones below it are locations you know how to get to, but you're not there yet. More on locations later when we get to location cards. You'll shuffle the rest of the cards together to make your 27 card deck. Then each player draws 5 cards, with the player who's read a comic most recently becoming the first player and taking the first turn. So how do you actually play Scattered Nexus? This is a life decking game. Each time a player takes damage, they'll lose cards from their deck and or hand, and what you're trying to do is have them draw or take damage that they can't resolve because their deck is empty. You're trying to do that to them before they do it to you. Players will alternate taking turns, and on a single player's turn, they'll go through 3 phases: the main phase, battle phase, and draw phase. That's right, draw phase is the last phase of your turn. During that phase, you'll draw till you have a hand of 5 cards, and it's at the end of your turn, not the beginning, which I feel like is the hardest thing for people who are familiar with card games to internalize. But let me give you a little bit of background. Before I can tell you how to play the game, I have to tell you about the board. In this game, we don't use mana or action points or anything like that. Instead, we use a slot system. You have 5 slots open in front of you. You have your deck zone where your deck goes, your trash where your discarded cards are going to go, and your location zone where your locations are. The rest of your board are your 5 slots. And as long as you have an empty slot, you can play a card. The trick is what card you play and how you play them. During the main phase, first thing you're going to do is ready any of your exhausted characters. Exhausted characters are just rotated onto their side. It just means they attacked or used an ability or something made them exhausted. When a character is exhausted, they can't block. You don't have any of those on your first turn of the game, but this information will come in handy later. The rest of the main phase is just you playing cards. You'll play cards from your hand one at a time into your 5 slots. So let's go over the 5 ways you can play a card. So, in your hand, you have black border cards and white border cards. The black border cards are your units. They'll be used to attack your rival and defend yourself against rival attacks. They have a name, a number at the top left. That's their impact number. This shows how well they'll do in a battle. They have their genres under their impact number. It is all these genres at all times. When you play a character, you play it ready into the front row of one of your empty slots. The reason you play it to the front of the slot is because it's full health. When a character takes damage equal to or greater than its impact number, it becomes wounded. When a frontline character becomes wounded, it slides to the back row into the weakened zone. And if it's wounded while in the weakened zone, it's trashed. There's no sticky damage in this game. So if a character has damage on it, but it's not enough to wound it, it'll forget all that damage at the end of the turn. Also, after a character moves to the weakened zone, it stays there until it's either trashed or healed by an ability. Next is white border cards. Now, these cards have 2 modes they can be played in. You can either play them as an event or as a trait. You'll place the card into one of your empty slots, read its event ability out loud, and do what it says. And it will stay in that slot until the turn ends. Events are the one card that can be played on any player's turn. You can think of them like instants from Magic the Gathering. You can say, before you do that, I do this. You can play these cards as traits by playing them under a character in play. You'll notice I didn't say your characters. Traits can be played on rival characters as well, if it makes sense for you. Traits stay attached to the character until that character leaves play. If it does, all traits on it go to its owner's trash. But they provide an ongoing ability for that character based on the primary genre of the faction. So for example, all factions that are primary action all have the angry trait. So you can also place any card from your hand face down as a character. This is called setting a character. All set characters have one impact and have all genres with no ability. Once a character's been set, there's usually no way to flip it face up. However, some characters in the horror genre do have a flip effect. They can be flipped on a later phase to get some sort of added benefit. So watch out for those. And then lastly, you can put any card from your hand face down underneath a character in play to give that character +1 impact. This is called boosting. Just like a trait, boosts stay on the character until they leave play, and whenever they leave play, the cards used to boost go to their owner's trash. There's no limit to the amount of times a character can be boosted or the amount of traits that can be put on a single character. And that's all the way to play cards. I do want to note that events are the only card that can be played outside of the controller's main phase. And by playing an event, you are ignoring its trait. So next phase. After you feel like you've played enough cards, you can start your battle phase. Although if you're taking the first turn of the game, you'll skip your battle phase. Because characters don't have summon sickness in this game, the rule is there to prevent players from attacking their rival when they haven't had a turn to play anything yet. So, first, you'll declare your attack. That just lets your rival know you're about to start attacking. So if they want to use any abilities in their main phase, this is their last chance to do so. You'll also declare a color or genre. This is the genre of the characters you're planning on attacking with. All characters of that genre don't have to attack, but only characters of that genre have the option of attacking. Then you'll exhaust any number of characters you control of the attacking genre. These characters are going to attempt to do damage to your rival's deck, and they would if it weren't for this blocking resolution step. Because after this, the defending player can use any of their ready characters that haven't blocked this turn to block one attacking character. The defending player can double, triple, quadruple block an attacking character if they feel it's worth it. Characters being blocked and the characters blocking them battle. When characters battle, they each deal damage equal to their impact to each character blocking it. So for example, if a 5 impact character is attacking and it's blocked by a 2 and a 3 impact character, the 5 impact character will take 5 damage, becoming wounded, because 2 plus the 3 make 5, wounding the 5. The 3 impact character blocking will take 5 damage, becoming wounded, because that is more than 3. And then the 2 impact character will be wounded twice, because it took 5 damage, and that is double its impact. After that, that attacking character is considered resolved. You can think of the attacking character as being distracted by these characters blocking it. So it will no longer damage the defending player's deck or hand. It's busy dealing with these characters that are blocking it. And there is no trample or overrun damage. Once a character is blocked, it'll do no damage to the defending player. The defending player will resolve each character attacking it one at a time in an order that they choose until all attacking characters have been resolved. I do want to explain player damage. When a player takes damage, they'll lose cards from their hand or deck. Players usually take damage from their deck, but if they have cards in their hand that they don't particularly care about, they might choose to discard those instead of flipping blind from the deck. And they can mix and match that as much as they want. One more thing I also want to add about damage and how they affect locations. Your active location provides an ongoing effect to a particular genre of character. Whenever you're taking damage, you can decide to flee your location and prevent 3 of the damage you were going to take. You can do this, flee multiple locations off of a single damage resolution if you want to, and then at the end of your turn, you will choose your new active location from any of your available locations if you have any left. Because once you flee a location, it's put face down on the bottom of your location stack, and you'll never be able to go there again. Another note about players taking damage. All of the main characters of every genre have an ability called plot armor. A character with plot armor, if it's sent to your trash as a result of you taking damage from their deck, you may put it into your hand instead. That damage is still counted as resolved, but sometimes you get a bonus character out of it. But that's one keyword that isn't likely to be found on your player aid because all main characters have that ability. After all damage has been resolved, the active player will start their draw phase. All players, if they have any events in their slots, will send them to their owner's trash. If any abilities happen at the end of the turn or end at the end of the turn, that'll happen now. And then the active player draws until they have 5 cards in hand. And then your turn ends, and it's the next player's turn. That's pretty much all the main rules of Scattered Nexus, but there's a few things I want to point out. You'll notice this game doesn't use any tokens or counters. Everything is very temporary in Scattered Nexus, so just kind of go with the flow on it. Even though characters hold on to damage until the end of the turn, usually they take most of their damage in big bursts and then end up changing states. Because players draw a full hand at the end of their turn, they get to control their tempo. If you want to play 5 cards every turn, that's fine. You'll just only be playing for less than 6 turns. Also, there is removal in this game. All factions usually have 2 copies of an event that removes a character in play. However, they don't work on whatever that faction's secondary genre is. So, if you're not paying attention, some characters might become a bigger problem than you anticipated. You'll notice all cards have multiple use. If you really need a character and don't have one, you can always set a card. And a pro tip, that's a good way to activate your location ability, because your location ability usually cares about a genre of character. Set cards are every genre. Also, if you have cards you don't want, you can always boost with them, so that you can draw a fresh hand at the end of your turn. Scattered Nexus is made to be fun, lighthearted, tell interesting stories. I would love it if the community were nice, kind to each other, and even allowed take-backsies on occasion. But, sadly, I can't be there shaking my head in disappointment at all players when they're being rude to each other. But try to be kind. This game is all about indie comics, celebrating creativity and community. So I hope you can uphold those pillars as you play and as you navigate through the game. That's pretty much the end of this rules teach. I've gone on long enough. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I will try to address them. But yeah, good luck in your future tournament, and I'll see you in the next world.